welcome. What is up? We are here for week 4 of the Gladiator League between the Iceborn Ya team, who is currently 2-1, and we've got them playing up against the Silent Assassins, who are currently looking for their first win of this league. Currently sitting at 0-2 due to the bye week that they previously had. But if you need any more introductions, I'm Swift. I'm going to be your play by play caster for the night. And over next to me, I've got Steph, who is going to be our color caster. Say hello to the people, my good man.
Hey, yeah.
Hey,
How
there
are
he
you?
is.
How are you, dudes?
I mean, I'm doing pretty fine. I'm pretty chill. Right now, I know we took a bit of time to get set up for the stream. To my knowledge, they're testing out a new stream overlay. So I guess enjoy that for what it's worth. Let us know any feedback, all the good stuff. But we should be getting into draft relatively soon. And it does seem to be that the Iceborn Ya team is going to be on blue side for the first game, and the
hmm
Silent Assassins are going to be on red side for this one. So definitely going to be interested to see how this draft pans out, considering both teams have had a little bit of extra time to scout each other out.
Yeah. In the end, this is week 4. It's been quite a while for them. We actually saw Iceborn Ya on the first week,
Hmm.
and they went to 0. And let me tell you, these guys play really good. They have like these style. They're able to bounce back from a disadvantaged position into another one. They take their time, and that's something that we really like to see in these kinds of games.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm definitely interested to see if the Silent Assassins can pull off a win. Um, we're definitely going to be on the lookout to see what kind of draft they come up with, considering, I mean, a lot of teams probably got some ideas from Worlds. A lot of the Worlds meta I have realized has been creeping into some amateur leagues and some competitive leagues, all the like. And I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for that. Like, who's the first band going to be? Are we going to be seeing a bunch of Aatrox still? Like, the
Yeah,
classics.
yeah, I totally feel you. It's really funny because these people have played in a fantastic way in some sorts, and both teams are like two opposites because in the case of Silent Assassins, the games that they've played, they actually like sometimes they weren't doing so bad. They actually snagged the game from the series. So it's not like they've been steamrolled every single time. They have a chance to popping back up, and I'm pretty sure that could be the case in today's game.
Yeah, that's the hope with this best of three. We're gonna be keeping an eye out to see how they turn things around this point in the season. With that, the draft has started. As you guys can see, we are a couple bands in, and we already see that Iceborn Ya has come up with the Tarek, Sivir, and Seraphine bands, respectively, in the first pick Kaisa on top of that.
Absolutely. I'm trying to the production, please. The draft. I'm not getting it. I have the actual the draft law here, but
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not able. It's
hold on, I
not.
got you. Here you go. Wait, I
Yeah.
think I should be able to get it to you because I believe it was just it was changed slightly, so I should be able to
Okay.
drop it
Okay.
over to you real quick.
Okay. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. Thank you, bro. Okay. So we saw the Tariq, Seraphine, and Sivir ban. Seraphine and Sivir have been like a really good bot lane. A lot of consistent champions over there. And on the red side, we also have the Graves, Zoe, and Twitch. Twitch is a really snowbally kind of champion. Every time you see it, either it pops off or gets stepped on.
Mhm.
So it's like you have to be very 50-50 on that regard. But we're seeing the
Ooh.
but let's talk about the picks, okay? We have to talk
Yeah.
about the picks, okay? So Kaisa first pick, really ballsy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
need
would
to have a
definitely have
lot
to
of
agree.
confidence.
Without a doubt. I mean, like Kai'Sa's one of my most played champions. I know we'll
hmm
agree that she is one of those picks that she is flexible, but there are a lot of picks that you can play into her that makes it a lot harder to play Kai'Sa, and Caitlyn is definitely one of them if you can pilot her well enough.
Yeah.
And I mean, just other picks that have already stuck out. I mean, Maokai, we've seen him a bunch at Worlds, just picked into pretty much any lane that you want him to. And then
hmm
Yumi, I was literally just at Worlds at quarterfinals in New York. Super exciting stuff. Especially I think it was game 5 between DRX and not DRX. It was the Dem 1 and Gen G game, and people were literally
Yeah.
chanting for Yumi to get banned like every single draft. It was kind
And
of
it
funny.
and it's like, yeah, please, dude. Like we're begging you.
Yeah.
It's like,
Ugh,
okay, so the thing is that Yumi is like having two characters besides the main character. So like you have the healing, the Soraka healing, the movement speed, the slow, the ultimate, like it's like the full package, and it's super super strong, and a lot of people really really despise that type of gameplay. It happens to me too. Sometimes at night when I have to play with my friends that and I just want to watch a series or something, I just pop Yumi and check in like every 5 minutes if something happened to press W or something like that. You know how it is.
indeed. I mean, such is life with Yumi in the game. Obviously, some would prefer to have it out of the game, but every once in a while this does manage to slip through the cracks. But looking at the last couple of bans that both teams have popped out with, we do see a lot of focus in the mid lane. We do see the Kali and the Syndra taken out, and as well as Ari and Zillion. And it seems as though with this Victor pick, there aren't too many picks that the Iceborn Ya can pull out to maybe counter it.
You could
Seems
do
pretty
something
safe.
like an Ari. Ari could be like a somewhat good keep away from the Victor, a little bit of poking here, like trying to not give him any ins to actually get into the fights, but it's still going to be a little bit difficult. We're seeing the Aatrox, which is something that you called out,
Mhm.
and
Y
finally what could we see from the mid lane is actually going to be a Karthus.
Ooh, a Karthus, however, but yeah, it's also surprising to see that Aatrox made it through this deep into the ban phase, where it seems as though he's got pretty free of a match. I don't see too many things that that silent assassins can pull out unless someone is extremely goaded on the Fiora.
We're seeing the
But
Anivia actually. And no, there's
ooh,
another option. Maybe Set could also make it work.
mhm.
Or Voliver.
Yes, that definitely has some angles to play around here. You know, has a couple of targets to suplex into his team, but it'll definitely be hard walking into that Maokai Trundle and Anivia that they've got pulled up. And hey, Fiora, I called it.
You jinxed it. You jinxed
Somebody
it.
has to be goaded on the Fiora if we're gonna let this go through.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully he's going to be good with it. But let's just roll back a little bit and talk about the composition in general. So on blue side, what do you think is the win condition? I'm thinking on the Aatrox and the Kai'Sa, but I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. When I'm looking at the side of Iceborn Ya right now, it definitely is just sort of that mid to late game skirmishes that you can get with an Aatrox, with a Kai'Sa. Because what both of those champions benefit off of a lot of times is
Mm-hmm.
just taking fights and coming out of them with a man advantage at a certain point, right? If Aatrox is able to get that reset and his team's up a man, it's tough to fight into him. If Kaisa can assassinate somebody before she goes down and has a man advantage, it's just so much easier for her team to play. And that's definitely, I'd have to agree, that's definitely what they're going to have to look for going into
Mm-hmm.
that game.
What do you think would be the good points for silent assassins? What do you think they have going for themselves in in this match?
Well, I guess for Silent Assassins is that they don't necessarily have a point in the game where they're like super weak, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
it's like you have Caitlyn and Yumi. Like if you play it well enough, you have a lot of power in the bot lane. Then when you need something for mid game, Viego starts coming online once he finishes 1 to 2 items. Victor once he gets those um like upgrades and those augments. And then if you ever need to go to late game, like that's literally when Fiora just becomes a menace to anybody on the team just existing in a lane.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they fall behind, they've got a couple different ways to play around the game.
Under win conditions, I think it definitely happens. I think I think the Caitlyn is going to be a really strong point,
Hmm.
and also the Fiora, because the problem is like having multiples Like having multiple win conditions may lead you to just failing at some of them. And there are characters in League that we already know that if they don't get ahead, they are in a very disadvantaged position.
Yeah, like as you mentioned, having those multiple win conditions can be difficult because then you want to focus on one or the other. I guess the real benefit that they have is that they can play towards the bot side of the map, and Fiora should be relatively fine into the Aatrox, right? It's like you got the counter pick. Eventually, you'll outscale them and beat them in the 1v1, so you don't necessarily need all too much help.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'd have more faith in Caitlyn being able to like push a lead for the side of the Silent Assassins than I would with like Victor or Viego. Just comparing them to Iceborn Ya's team because of that Anivia, because of that Maokai. They've got a lot of tools to stop something like a Victor from popping off.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, definitely interesting drafts. I mean, a lot of these picks we have seen at Worlds, like a lot of what Iceborne Ya has picked has been exclusively just like world related stuff, like oh the Aatrox and the Maokai, and then we've seen some Kaisa here and there, but definitely. If you had, I'm gonna ask, like we already see these two comps. Which one, if you had to pick, would be the one that you'd prefer to be playing on right now? Like if you had to win this game,
I
just based
feel
on the draft
very
alone.
safe on the Iceborn Yeah composition.
Mhm.
Like I feel that we have like a safer engage, disengage, and we have a lot of damage on our side and a lot of AoE damage because you could see Anivia not necessarily as the carry of the match, but she's a consistency booster. She adds terrain, AoE damage, DPS, a stun. Like it's an enabler, and the same applies to Maokai. It's a really tanky character with a lot of sustain that it's also able to root, knock up, knock back, and root again people in that position without talking about um, the objective control and zone control that it has with the saplings.
Yeah, like Malachi, as you mentioned, super flexible pick. As far as like as far as my opinion goes, I'd have to agree that the side of Iceborne Ya has a lot of tools to work with. They are pretty flexible, and Anivia I feel like is a really good answer into Viego and Victor specifically, where
Mm-hmm.
it's just gonna be really hard for them to play around. But I'd be lying if I wasn't saying that I'd be interested in seeing this Fiora pop off and wreak havoc on the map. But I mean, I definitely have to wait and see for that because we're slowly gonna be going into spectator delay. So
Mm-hmm.
over here on the caster side, we're gonna be taking a small break, but we'll be right back once we load into game for this week 4 matchup between Iceborne Ya and the Silent Assassins.
Don't go anywhere.
Master break as we are just getting into the game after spectator delay. For you that missed it, Iceborn Ya is on the blue side and Silent Assassins are on the red side, and this is game one of this best of three series. Looking to see if Iceborn Ya can go to 3-1 or if SA can stop themselves from going 0-3 in this league.
Absolutely. So let's do a small recap on what we
Okay.
were talking about before. So remember, we said that we were on which like we felt that there was a very safe composition on the side of Iceborn Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we also stated that there's a huge chance of popping off on the Silent Assassins team. So went
Yeah.
ahead and actually looked into like win rates and recent games of Silent Assassins, and Akre Kojin, which is the top laner, the one that is playing Fiora right now,
Uh-huh.
doesn't have many games as Fiora. So
Ooh.
you were I'm bringing this back because you were stating that you wanted like you wanted to see a Fiora that was going to pop off.
Yeah.
And usually the Fioras that pop off are the people that have absolutely no life and just want to play Fiora like crazy. Because let's be perfectly honest, people that play Fiora in like an obscenely good level are people that don't really talk to their brothers or yeah,
They're
throwing
just
jabs over
they're
there.
just isolated. They're just isolated from everybody else, and nothing that they do that doesn't relate to Fiora just has not much of meaning.
They are in the same plane of existence as Nasus players.
Ooh. In the meantime, we do see a root landing onto the Yumi. W does connect as they do hit level 2 first, but not enough. AGG does use the Ignite for that all-in, but they do get 3 summoners out of the bot lane of Silent Assassins here. And already just a tad bit of trading up in the top lane. We do see that the Fiora is down slightly in terms of HP right now.
Yeah. But remember, Fiora is Fiora, popping a couple of vitals, getting a couple of hits with the Doran's blade. It's more than likely going to give her enough damage, but you shouldn't be eating those traps, Mokai,
Yeah,
because let's see what's going on. Oh.
yeah, almost. We did see the it's spicy looking for a play there. Meanwhile, a bit of trading up in the top lane. Parry does, in fact, go off, but doesn't land the stun back onto Didi over here. In the meanwhile, we do see a stun landing up onto Jack, who is gone, who is missing his flash after a gank from Trundle here.
I was dead sure that that first Aatrox Q was going to land. Like, I swear to God, I was about to, like, start screaming spaghetti code from League, but yeah, there wasn't, like... Right now we have Diego on the bot side. Of course, we already saw him. They have vision over for him. So the best course of action is definitely going to back out. Right now, we're seeing a really trade heavy lane on both middle and bot lane. But the problem is that bot lane doesn't really like getting poked in bot lane with the Yumi composition. It's like not a big deal.
Yeah, it really isn't, where it's just like, as you mentioned, Caitlyn and Yumi are totally fine just taking short trades and poking back and forth. I mean, as you saw there, like, Maokai is just eating the Caitlyn traps and doesn't have any way of sustaining himself. Meanwhile, Caitlyn can just, like, hold on to the Yumi and just stay full HP, but looks like, yeah, they're looking to make a play here. Flash forward, they do land the root onto the Caitlyn, but the pillar is just too far away and isn't able to lock up the Caitlyn on the other side of that pillar, and it lets him escape just barely.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting that we're seeing Aatrox and Fiora back to back. Like these are our favorite champions by a bunch of pro players right now. But we're seeing a small
Speaking
gang
of
on the top lane.
which, yeah, we do see the Viego looking in for the stun. He isn't able to land it, but Fiora is able to land the parry onto Deity. Deity flashing forward, the stun missing once again. It's Spicy flashing forward for the Q, but if just one more ability lands from either of them, that is a dead Aatrox. But oh, flash Q plus the crit auto, and that's going to be first blood going over to the Fiora here, but the return kill goes right back over to Deity. And I guess Fiora is technically slightly ahead in that one since the wave is so close to the tower.
Absolutely, it's going to be a really nice, really good reset of the lane. At the same time, we're seeing that she's over the Aatrox for 9 minutes, 9 minutes, which is a really good way to back it out. Like she did a fast recall rather than dying on their tower.
Yeah, it definitely helps having that extra influx of gold, especially once Fiora gets her mythic, which I assume to be Sunderer or maybe even
Yeah.
Triforce, just depending on what she chooses. But meanwhile, already trying to put some of that to work, does get hit by the pullback even after the parry, loses half her HP in that trade. But meanwhile, with no flash available, Jax is getting ganked by that Trundle. The pillar on top of the Anivia stun. Ooh, but his ultimate in the gravity field does buy a bit of time for him, and he might be able to make it out, but he is going to be walking over to the Rift Scuttle, straight up into the top lane. Nia just has to pray and hope that Fiora has enough damage to keep the Aatrox off of him, but it's just not going to be enough. Deity picks up the kill after popping the World Ender, gets his reset for the MS, and is chasing down the Fiora, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to catch up to him just in time.
Absolutely. Really good map awareness from the Aatrox right there. He was able to catch it really easily. He used the W on the Fiora to slow her down. Overall, really nice play. Really nice play. And the way that they chained the terrain, the Anivia and the Trundle, like
Mhm.
Smokia and Spires, they did a fantastic job in that synergy. And it might be something that is going to definitely show up later in the match.
100%. It is definitely one of the key strong points for the side of Iceborn Ya. Oh, Q does land on the Aatrox. Deity does go under the tower for the solo kill. He is able to get it, staying at a sliver of HP, seeing as Fiora did not have parry to block any more of that damage. But in the bot lane, Trundle looking for the gank, and poor Caitlyn uses the 90 caliber net just after the Maokai does in fact follow her through the root. Alun able to pick up the kill onto the Caitlyn, staying extremely low, and they're chasing down the Yuumi, but she is able to make it to the tower, so they only get one kill for it, but pretty big one at that.
A really nice gang from the Trundle. We've seen that he has like a lot of presence during the around the map, and that is something that is really really important in these kinds of games because right now
Oh,
we're seeing a lot of junglers that if they don't have really good like presence on the map, they really really fall behind. That's like something that we've seen multiple times during these Gladiator series that sometimes junglers take quite a while for them to actually appear on the map, but this Trundle has definitely been in it. What we haven't seen a lot it has been of the Viego that hopefully we're going to see pretty soon.
yeah, without a doubt. I mean, right now, they definitely have been putting in work on that Trundle. They've been moving around the map quite frequently here. Ooh, bit of a pullback up in the top lane. Fiora does decide to Q in. Deity does pop the World Ender, throws out one Q, doesn't get the knockup, but in the meantime, we do see that Spires does get his egg popped in a 1v1 versus Jack, as well as Ice Spicy pulling up at the same time, trying to get to the reset here, but he gets popped just as far as he gets to that Nivea, he just gets popped as the rest of Iceborn just pull up to the mid lane. Pretty much a 1-for-1, a pretty scrappy one though.
Yeah. Another thing that we've seen is that mid lane has been a constant match of poking. That's why we haven't really casted what's happening in the mid lane because they are poking laser over here, ice ball on the side, ice shard, and it has been like the normal thing that we've seen.
Oh,
But right now,
yeah, it's just a lot of, like, to your point, it's just been a lot of back and forth trading between both members of each lane respectively, where it's just like, okay, 1 second we say something, and then instantly it's just like, well, Jack lost half of his HP in a trade to Anivia. Well, I mean,
again, remember the most important part is what we're saying again.
true.
Yeah, but it's really good. Like the movements overall, like the farming of the junglers has been really consistent. But now look at the Aatrox. The Aatrox is 3-1, and that's something that it's really really interesting how they're doing. I want to keep seeing what plays they are going to have in mind, and uh, right now the first Drake already went to Iceborn Ya, so I'm really looking forward to how they're going to do it. These blue steel, he's looking
Yeah, it was looked
a little really good.
yeah, it was a little risky, but they did pull it off. We do see that Iceborn Ya is taking quite a bit of advantage of the gold lead that they have accrued in each of the lanes. They do have about a 2k gold lead over the side of the Silent Assassins, and they are well aware that a potential gank could be coming from its Spicy here on the Viego. And as you mentioned, the other lanes seem to be doing relatively fine. Nivea about even with the Victor, and the Aatrox more than ahead on this Fiora at this point in time. And ooh, Alun does go in. He is able to land one auto as well as the W, but they have to soon back off as Viego is looking for a gank here. Nice root coming out from the ulti on the Maokai. Does root up. It's Spice who flashed in the first place. Meanwhile, Alun solo focusing the Caitlyn. He is able to pick up the one kill there, but as Nate GG falls, Viego's able to get the reset, root him up, and chase him down under the tower, and he's one hit away. He is able to pick up the shutdown, but does in fact go 1-for-1 with the Kai'Sa, letting Alun get a double kill in the process. And in the top lane, we do see Deity popping the World Ender plus Flash, blows Flash off of the Fiora, living with 1 HP, but now she is 3 levels down in the top lane and just denied another 2 waves.
Absolute insanity, but hey, don't take a breather just yet because something might happen in the mid lane.
100%. I mean, we just saw that Jack lost about half of his HP, maybe a little less, and Spires is even lower than he is as they just keep going back and forth. Fiora TPing up in the top lane, but I'm pretty sure DD's picked up 1, maybe 2 plates in the process with a commanding 30 CS lead in that top lane right now. And Spires extremely low to dying here. Caitlyn ulti coming in from the river, and it does secure his fate. Spires staying for a bit longer than he should, not respecting the damage that the rest of his team has.
And look at that, because Maokai is already on the top side. They're with Trundle. They are looking into some sort of support towards the Aatrox, which is arguably the second strongest player in their team right now.
Yeah, in the meantime, it seems though that Smokey did in fact take the Rift Herald while all that fighting was happening, and they made the right decision. It seems like the accurate decision where it's like, okay, we already got a top lane tower extremely low. They drop the Rift up in the top lane and free this Aatrox from that laning phase versus the Fiora, and he might look for something here as well as he ease forward, lands the Q1, Q2 unable to hit anybody, but Q3 comes out and Fiora does pop the Grand Challenge but doesn't commit to it as she's at like 300 to 400 HP. And there's no way for them to fight this Aatrox out of this lane.
Absolutely. Right now, Aatrox is going to be able to push, kind of for free, the top tower. Now we're seeing a little bit of poking on the bot side, but we need to go back and talk about everything that has been happening because there was a ton of fights that you were talking about. So the presence of both support and jungler on the top side to secure the first tower on top side, really important, really well played. Maybe the use of the Herald was a little too much because it wasn't able to land in the bot lane, in the tier 2 tower, but overall, really good execution.
Yeah, the execution has been on point. Yeah, speaking of execution, we do see that Spires has to flash away from the Victor in the gravity field. That is 3 flashes blown in the mid lane as both Smokey, Jack, and Spires use their ultimates in what seemed to be a potential all-in, but nobody gets much of anything out of that.
Jack has been playing out of his mind when it comes to position in this match. Even though it's getting hit sometimes with the Ice Ball from Anivia and stuff like that, he's still able to have really good positioning of his abilities. Mainly the ultimate and also the W has been able to land in their most important places, and I think that's something that really needs to get into account. He's only 1 minion behind the Anivia, 1 kill ahead, and 1 assist ahead. So he's looking kind of good, and he can definitely be a thorn on the side of Iceborn Ya if he gets fed.
Definitely something to look out for. It does make it harder for the Aatrox and for the Kai'Sa to go in, and maybe even the Trundle if he so chooses to. But in the meantime, they do have to worry about the fact that Iceborn Ya is up 2 dragons compared to 0 on the side of the Silent Assassins. And meanwhile, do see a bit of a trading happening on the top lane, and the pillar does land in the mid lane. Jack does get hit, but the phase rush as well as the gravity field make it so that he's able to get out only about half of his HP taken off of him.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. He's able he's like positioning all his abilities in really good position, in really good places. So he's always almost every single time able to get out of there.
Oh, and meanwhile, they're looking for a play in the bot lane. We do see the Maokai ulti coming out, and even after a 90 caliber net, it does keep Caitlyn locked up just for long enough for a kill to be secured. It does go to the way of Nate GG on the Maokai, but Caitlyn being put further and further behind on against this Kai'Sa is definitely not a spot that Silent Assassins want to be in, and Jack just barely getting out of range of that frozen wall coming out from that Anivia that could have most certainly spelled his death there.
That, friends, is what we call an enabler. Maokai enables Kai'Sa to do all the damage, keeping the enemies close enough to her for her to do all her damage at the same time. And remember, that Kai'Sa is not a friendly Kai'Sa.
Indeed, Kai'Sa is one of the roughest ADCs to play from behind, but when she's ahead, there's not that many that can stop her. And right now, she can pretty much pick a fight with whoever she wants, especially as you mentioned, if she's got somebody like Maokai who's able to enable her in any sort of way. And as we're looking around the map, it seems we're in kind of a chill state right now. And except for the top lane, as we do see Nate GG pulling up, the root does land, but it does get him stunned. Grand challenge is pop up with the World Ender combined with all the Q damage. That is a dead Fiora by the hands of Deity there, and both junglers seem to have scrapped it out in the bot side jungle, but Smokey is able to come out on top of that one by far.
Fights everywhere, dude. That's how it goes. So let's talk a little bit about right now we're seeing a rotate, maybe a kind of a rotation from Victor. No, he's just warding on the side, making sure that they have vision. The vision control on the side of Silent Assassins is kind of good. Like they have vision of their own jungle, which is really important because they're not in an advantageous position. So
speaking of advantageous, we do see the Kai'Sa does ult in as a 1v1 was taken between him and Defiant Ren here, but Caitlyn, unaware of Alun's damage, it seems like, as Alun is able to pick up that 1-for-1 in a near 1v2 scenario.
And 5k on top of them, and we're seeing a dive on the top, on the bot side, tier 1. Oops.
Solid dive coming out here, and solid flash coming out from Alun, getting away from the Viego stun, and that's a double kill going over to Spires as he moves over from the mid lane and secures 2 kills down in the bot lane. All the while, Jack is sitting by himself in the mid lane, trying to take a tower and get any sort of gold for his team. And Deity's just asserting dominance in the top lane.
Dude, in the end...
Oh, Nate GG with the flash root over here. Stun does land from Spire. Smokey is there to follow up onto the damage. And as the Ignite drops, that's going to be another kill going over to Spire. And he is going to be resurrected by the Egg, now sitting at 3-2. At this point, pretty much ahead of the victor.
It's really interesting the fact that we were able, as casters, and looking at the draft, to see which were the win conditions on Iceborn Ya's side. And in the end, we were pretty spot on. We had the Anivia that was an enabler, control mage that was going to add a lot to the gameplay in general. But we totally landed the fact that Aatrox and Kai'Sa were going to be the main players here.
Yeah, speaking of Aatrox, already forcing the ulti out of it. Spicy flash follow-up under the tower does secure another kill for him, sitting at 5-1, and with that reset, he gets to coast all the way back up into the top lane and continue his rate of terror as he's nearly doubling Fiora in farm at this point, 19 minutes into the game, and Dragon is spawning in about 35 seconds as the side of Iceborn Ya is looking to make a push into the mid and potentially get some vision down in the bot lane. Ooh, and they drop the rift from the mid lane as well.
Yeah, they totally want those tier 1 towers all gone for them to have a little bit more leeway when it comes to doing dragons and stuff like that, because this is going to be their third Drake, which is going to be a Mountain Soul, which Romeo and a lot of other people that has been casting with me have already convinced me that it's not as bad as I thought it used to be.
Yeah, Mountain is a pretty solid soul, especially against certain champions that don't like to build a bunch of pen in the first place. Meanwhile, Deity playing with a bit of fire here in the top lane, losing quite a bit of HP, but Spires is coming out from the flank on the Anivia of all things, does catch out Defiant Ren there. In the meantime, the minions, Jack, and the Yuumi are able to pick up tier 1 tower, the first tower for the side of Silent Assassins here this entire game.
Do you remember the old Toy Story meme that says, that is with Andy saying, "I don't want to play with you anymore"?
Yeah.
That's the Yuumi. talking to the Caitlyn because he's it's staying right there with the Victor. She doesn't want to play with Caitlyn anymore.
100%. And speaking of which, we'll see if that pays off as the pillar does hit around to the side, and now the ice wall does force Jack into a fighting position, but he is able to blow the flash off of Spires here. The final chapter does get casted, one more hit, and now he's going to be a dead Anivia, but Jack is having a 1v3 run for his life, and he is able to get kited back to the rest of his team. Caitlyn uses the ace in the hole and does secure the kill onto the Trundle, and they end up going 2 for 1 in that trade. Probably one of the few advantageous fights for the side of Silent Assassins this game.
Absolutely. There's something about the restraint that they also showed. Like Kaisa had the ultimate, but she didn't want to commit to going into a black spot on the map, and that's something that she really needs to be commended for, because as one of the carries of this match, she needs to be extra careful because the win condition is relying on her.
Yeah, her being as behind as it is definitely puts them in a tough spot. So any gold that she can get definitely helps her out. If she seems like she's building into a Zeal item, maybe she wants to get rapid fire, and keeping some distance would definitely help her out. But the gold lead is pretty massive, all things considered. It's ballooned up to about 8k gold in the span of 21 minutes, which isn't something you see all too often.
Absolutely. The trading has become a little bit more consistent in the sense of Aatrox doing additional damage and everything. It's overall really good.
Yeah, right now Didi taking another fight to Fiora here, but it's a hard position to be in, as Aatrox isn't the best at taking towers by himself, and Fiora is known to be pumping out quite a bit of damage, especially under a tower, so he's definitely going to be playing those fights rather careful. Meanwhile, we do see Jack just barely missing the cancel on the recall here for the Maokai. Nearly picking up another kill there, but right now it seems as though that Jack is chilling right now in the mid lane.
Right now, the thing that scares me, like from the side,
Grand
like,
Challenge does get popped. Yeah, Grand Challenge does get popped. World Ender is used by Deity trying to run away from this, but he is able to outlast the Fiora ultimate, but he's got nowhere else to run, as the rest of the side of Silent Assassins does pull up, and he seems to have bit off a bit more than he can chew and gives up that shutdown over to the Fiora. But in response, Iceborn Ya has started pushing the mid lane, and they are able to take mid tier 2.
Absolutely. So the thing that scares me in the side of Iceborn Ya is that there's a slight chance that by clumping up, are going to they're going to be having a lot of trouble, because they have a lot of AoE. They have a lot of them. They have, like, the Victor in general in choke points does a lot of damage, a lot of CC, and overall it's really hard to catch. Look at the chunk.
Yeah, Meme on the middle of a fight, quite a big of a chunk. Blast forced out of a loon here, as well as exhaust. Ace in the hole used, but it does push them away from that fight, as well as a TP, if I'm not mistaken, coming out from Didi here to try to assist them in the fight that didn't seem to break out the way that he expected it to. Right now, it seems as though the Silent Assassins have a pretty decent chance of holding them off.
Absolutely. That's the thing that scares me. Remember, we didn't talk specifically about the Victor being a win condition. Straight up, that's something that might have been a mistake on our part. But seeing the progression of the match and how it's been able to keep up during most of the match against everything, really. There's a really the Yuumi not wanting to play anymore with the Caitlyn has really elevated Victor into an Avengers level threat, if you could say that.
Yeah, I mean, Victor is definitely on the course of trying to deal as much damage as he possibly can. I mean, right now, sitting on that Dark Seal with 4 stacks, 2 items already, as well as an elixir, he's really just looking to deal as much damage as he can right now, seeing as the dragon that is coming up in about 30 seconds will give the side of Iceborn Ya soul. So they have to take this fight now, but it's going to be a really tough ask considering Kaisa just finished 3 items and most of the side of Iceborn Ya is already at 2.
And also, the payout, if they're able to pull this off, is going to be immense.
Yeah, speaking of payout, we do see that Viego is able to land a stun onto Deity here, but he is able to flash out, but the rest of the side of Iceborn Ya are just there. The zone coming out, ulti from the Anivia, slowing down majority of the side of Silent Assassins, and Kaisa going in, unable to blow up Jack as Jack sitting on top of a Yumi is pretty hard to kill. That is a pretty massive shutdown going over to Jack, and he's trying to delay and buy enough time for himself to heal up. But he is slowly getting run down by Deity and this Anivia. Meanwhile, Trundle by himself on the dragon should be all but secured for the side of Iceborn Ya right now.
Absolutely. You know something that once happened to me that I was definitely to blame for that was that that one time we were doing this exact specific chase and the guy stopped like right there on the wall. All of us flashed over the wall and everything, and he just walked out like normal.
An
I,
absolute menace behavior.
Absolutely, it was awful. But right now, looking at the big picture of the map in general, Aatrox has definitely fallen off. Like it doesn't have the same amount of dominance that he had 2 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago specifically.
Mhm.
Like at minute 21, he was a force to be reckoned with, pushing top, destroying the Fiora, or anything. And right now he's a little bit more tame. Now's the chance for them to actually push it. And with the
Yeah.
Victor as fed as he is at this very moment, 196 minions up top, 4-2-3, 2 items, 8 stacks of Dark Seal. He is sitting pretty on a huge amount of AP, and also his choice of grabbing the Leander's Torment in favor of doing all this really brings to a point that he has a chance to pop it off. But there's a huge problem for them because the Baron, it's being done by Iceborn Ya, and there's no way they're going to be able to fight it out.
Yeah, with the 3-item Kaisa, that Baron does get melted pretty quick, and Defiant Ren getting caught out there on the Caitlyn. The Maokai ulti sealing her fate on top of the root, and we already see the Anubis coming in for the flank, enough to slow down the Fiora, and then Kaisa coming in, sweeping up the rest of the kills. That's a double kill for her as they pick off the Viego, and the one man standing, well, I guess the one man and her pet standing in this fight is Jack and the Yumi, and he is able to pick the shutdown up onto the Aatrox. Doesn't have much any MR to begin with, but he's still over half HP. He's got a lot of room to work with. He is able to land his death ray, but now Kaisa is trying to go in for the 1v1, and she is able to do so, and that's going to be 4 kills going over to Alun on this Kaisa in this push for mid lane, and it might even look to end the game here with these Baron empowered minions.
Absolutely insane. They played for their win conditions, and overall, the biggest win condition of them all popped off in spades during the whole match.
Yeah, and we do see Defiant Ren here trying to stall out as much as he can, dealing as much damage as possible. He does spot out that Maokai is looking for him. The root does land. He gets pushed back into the team. Kaisa follows up on the damage, and that's 2 more kills going over to her. And Viego's got nowhere to land the stun with all these Baron minions empowering it. That should be the game. And that's going to be game 1 of this BO3 going over to Iceborn Ya.
Let's do a little bit post-game commentary right over
Okay,
here because there was a lot to unpack here. So
hit me with it.
the win conditions that we identified for Silent Assassins were not met at all.
Hmm.
Like Caitlyn was in a very disadvantageous position. The same applies to something like the Fiora that was not able to contain the Aatrox. That is super sad because those were definitely the win conditions that were placed on the table for them. And overall, there's definitely going to need to be a little bit of changing over there. They need to really play to their win conditions because we said it on the start. We didn't see a lot of presence of the on that Viego, and that
Yeah.
brought a lot of trouble for them.
It definitely did. I mean, the Viego was definitely a factor in the game. He was able to pick up some kills or be some sort of a factor in the early fights, but just compared to the Trundle, there was just a sort of a gap in a sense where Trundle was on top
1-1
of
and
Jack.
11,
Yeah, it
12
was.
KDA. He was like present in a little bit over like 40% participation during most of the match, compared to Kaisa that had 18 fights. Like it had 18 she was present in 18 kills. So, dude, like absolutely it was absolutely insanity. And overall, Onivia really hold the ground. And in the end, the absolute surprise carry that appeared late into the game was the victor. So right now for next game, we already know that we have to be on the lookout for Jack,
Hmm.
because under good conditions, he can definitely pop off.
100%. I mean, the Victor is kind of one of those, like we saw earlier on that there was a bunch of bans mid, and I did feel as though that there's not too many picks in the mid lane that's going to be able to move the Victor, and he is always just going to scale. So I think if you're the side of Silent Assassins, maybe the game plan is to just maybe keep the Victor the same, maybe play around him more, or just make sure that the other lanes don't fall behind as quickly as they did to make it easier for your Victor to not have to 1v9 the rest of the game.
Overall, GG to the guys over at Iceborn Ya. You did a fantastic job when it came to playing to your win conditions and everything. And hopefully, you will have an amazing display in the next game. Any finishing thoughts?
I mean, no, other than that, we'll have to see how Silent Assassins adjust. But with that, I think we'll be fine to take a small break and come back once we get ready for Game Two's draft for this BO3.
Okay, let's do just that. See you guys then. Don't go anywhere. Hey, welcome to week 4 of Gladiator League, the second game. Now, Iceborn Ya snatched a pretty cool win last game, and Silent Assassins is trying to had like a really close early game, and suddenly everything went to crap.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting game to say the least. It was pretty close over towards the early game, but by mid game, it definitely blew up. And as you can see, both teams are itching to get this next game underway as we're already into draft. As we see a couple bans coming out. One of them that sticks out is the Kaisa ban coming out from the Silent Assassins, already taking that
Ooh.
away from Iceborn Ya, who did pretty well on it in the first game.
Absolutely. So right now, so let's roll back a little bit. So yeah, Silent Assassins don't want anything to do. Well, I think no, it's actually Iceborn, yeah, that they got rid of their own Kaiser. They didn't want anything to
Oh
do with
yeah.
that. Yeah, look at that.
Oh yeah, Iceborn, yeah, it's just like putting that much respect on the Kai'Sa. I mean, to be fair, they did play it like pretty well, and it's like okay, maybe it just warrants that first rotation ban. They just don't want to risk it going through.
Yeah, and we're seeing the Tarek. Tarek is a really good really good laner, even a jungler. We've seen a lot of people on the solo queue ladder in both NA, LAN, and anywhere using Tarek jungle as part of a consistency booster and a really good jungler in general. And it has worked. The Rabado passive and the double hit works really well, but we're seeing a Lucian in response on the red side. Lucian is also a very flexible pick in both mid lane and ADC, and during very dreadful times on the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, right now looking at what they picked up, as you mentioned, Lucian coming out here, probably one of the more frequent ADCs that have been picked up in recent times, especially in the Worlds meta. We see him nearly every game, and then we see the Sejuani coming in, a pretty much on par with Maokai with how often and how flexible she is as a pickup. That you can put her in the top lane, you can put her in the jungle, maybe even put her in the support, depending on how you're feeling. And speak of the devil, the Maokai does roll in here for the side of the Silent Assassins.
Yeah, they took that away from Iceborn, yeah, like straight up. It's so interesting how they've been doing everything, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to be able to keep doing all of this. Overall, I really like their team building skills, and we're seeing the Vayne, and we're seeing the Nami in response. The Lucian Nami meta was 2 months ago, guys. Like you can wait for that. Like it's a little late.
Yeah, I mean, you tell that to some of the professional players too, where it seems as though that
Mm.
teams really feel as though that the Lucian Nami is worthwhile picking. I mean, to be fair, it does do lots of damage. It does catch unwary players off guard if they're not positioned well enough for it. So, to each their own.
Absolutely, and we're seeing the Vayne is over on. They are banning the Aatrox too. They don't want anything to do with Aatrox. Oh god, we're seeing the Cillian ban. Really, really, the Cillian ban.
Yeah, I mean, it
Okay.
was panned away last game as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the Aatrox, unsurprisingly, was taken away as it did pop off
Yeah,
in the first game. And I even mentioned it in the draft that I was surprised that it made it to B4 in the first place. So definitely going to be interested to see how it plays out.
we're seeing the Akali ban. Akali is also a very high damage, and it feels kind of consistent. Faker has been pulling out Akali during the last couple of weeks, and he's been doing damage to everyone. And overall, really cool. We're seeing the Karthus, and this is actually a Karthus lock on the Iceborn, yeah, which was like it was a bait. Remember that it switched suddenly to Anivia at the last second.
Yeah. But Karthus, I mean, could definitely be Karthus mid. It could be Karthus jungle, and they send the Sejuani top. They have some flexibility here if they so choose to play with it.
Rice, rice, rice. Holy crap. Okay, so you know the drill, right? Like if you see a rice, there are one of two ways. Either this person is not really good at the character, or either he's a god at the character. And remember what we said. Jack is a really, really good player, and maybe he will be able to pop off with the character.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a possibility. I mean, we already see I mean the rise definitely interesting. Not something we see too often in the Udyr. It's been so long
Yeah,
since
this
I've
this
seen an
feels like
Udyr.
season 3. We're seeing Rice Karthus mid, and you're like, what? And we're seeing the Urgot top. So, in the end, it's going to be Sejuani jungle, Urgot top, Karthus mid, Lucian ADC, and Nami support against Taric support,
Hmm.
Maokai top,
Yeah, and then
Vayne
we got
ADC, Rice in the mid lane, and Udyr in the jungle.
some pretty
Thoughts?
some pretty spicy stuff. But I mean, if I had to pick, I'm like, yo, the comp from the side of the Silent Assassins is looking kind of spicy. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested in seeing how this comp works with each other. They've got a lot of short range on that comp versus like Tarek Stun is probably more or less around the same range as like Maokai Root, which is like about the same range as like
Yeah.
Rise Root, and it's probably around the same range, like maybe a little less than like Vayne auto attack range. So it's just like this comp is really working around this one set range, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just up on the side of
But they have
Iceborn Ya to
a
play
lot of
against it.
really good disengage. Like they have a lot of root and stuff that can keep people near to them, but not like close to them. I don't know. I don't know if you were able to catch that. Like they're
Mhm.
going to be stuck. See, like they're not going to be pushed back or anything. They're going to be at an arm's length from them. So there's a chance that that's going to work out. While on the other hand, it's a more like on the side of Iceborn, yeah, they have a lot of dueling potential overall because Urgot is a really good dueling champion. Nami, it's a consistency booster, healing, slows, and all of that, and all members of the team get benefited by Nami W. And finally, Lucian. Lucian is a really consistent ADC that can pump out a lot of damage and maybe even destroy a vein. But we will never know until we get in there. So before we leave out, let me remind you guys that we are on the Titan Esports Gladiator League. This is week 4. We are about to cast game 2, and I'm here with
Mhm.
my friend Swift, that he's on the play-by-plays, and I'm here, Stefu, on the color casting. I'm from Venezuela. He's from the United States, but he is also Dominican.
Yep.
So there's a lot of Spanish speaking to make fun of looking that he probably doesn't understand. So while we go out for a short break and mess with him a little bit more, don't go anywhere because we'll be back for game 2. See you guys then. Hey yo everyone, welcome to week 4 of the Gladiator League here at Titan Esports. English is hard, you already know that. And I'm here with Swift, my
Hey.
my Dominican slash gringo friend here overseas, and also by our amazing producer Looking. We are here. My name's Stefu, and we are on game 2. It has been 1 point. The guys who were at Iceborn Ya, which are on the red side this match, they already snagged the first win of the day, and our competitors, the silent assassins, are trying their darnest to get that win because they are 0-2 in the bracket. How are you, Swift?
I'm
Did you catch a little bit of water?
yeah, I got a little bit of a sip. I'm just chilling right now, but I do recognize that they threw us a little bit of a curveball. That they said, "Hey, it's Udyr top in the Maokai jungle this time around." Which,
Hmm.
hey, I mean, I'm not complaining. But speaking of that Maokai, we already got a root coming in. DD hit with the one root, where this is going to be a level 1 of dramatic proportions. As a flash stun lands on the 3 coming out from now, there are 2, and follow up a second kill. Exhaust gets thrown down on Aspires. He should be soon to follow as everybody has roamed up to the top side of the map. And that's so far a 3 for 0 for the side of the Silent Assassins, already starting off the game a lot better than they did the first time around.
Absolutely. You know those how do they say that on the Smash Bros community?
Mhm.
You are match testing other people and getting the
Yeah, you're
rice,
like,
getting the Udyr, you're like definitely match tasting the rest of the enemy team.
yeah, we're just feeling them out. We're just limit testing them at this point. It's like, what can you do right now? And it's just like,
Mhm.
okay, we figured it out. And speaking of figuring it out, it seems as though that Udyr is already more than aware of what he can do to Deity in this lane, seeing that he's already gotten Boots and Dorn's Ring at level 1.
It sure looks like a person that definitely watches Electric to you, not gonna lie over that.
Indeed.
Spires right now, he is playing a comfort pick because he has over 24 games on Karthus, and it has been playing Karthus a lot during the past couple of games. So
Oh,
he's totally in it. And on the other side, we're seeing a Loon on the Lucian, which is also a really good pick for her for this player that works really well. But of course, his main was the Kaisa.
yeah, I mean, definitely seems like they opted to go in for comfort here this time around. But as we can see, going off of that level 1, it isn't starting off the way that they intended to. If we anyone noticed earlier, we did see that Didi lost all of his HP during that level 1 trade between him and the Udyr, and it did force Didi to TP back into the lane extremely early. But speaking of lanes, we've got a gank up in the mid lane as Sejuani comes in from behind Jack here on the rise. Stun does land, and Spires is able to pick up the kill in the mid lane with no resources wasted.
Absolutely. Another thing that I have to say is that Akri Kojin, which is the top laner for the side of Silent Assassins, has over 61% win rate with Udyr. So that's definitely going to be
Oof.
a lane to watch for. Udyr specializes in clump up team fights. Uh, he's also really good at chasing, and it's really good at isolated fights. So there's a really huge possibility that the Orgot on one way or another may not be able to match the Udyr.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be something to look out for with such a high win rate on that Udyr, seeing how he can affect the game. Because, like as we mentioned before, it's not something that we haven't seen all too often. Where it's just like after his rework, we saw him a bit, but not crazy. But speaking of crazy, we do see a contempt land over in the bot lane as these two are going in for 1v1s. Flash away from the Nami bubble does keep Defiant Ren alive here, and it does in fact chunk out Alun and Nate GG, making them blow all 4 of their summoners in this one fight alone.
Imagine if this would have been one of those really wacky matches that we've seen on the Gladiator League, which is already wacky because we're seeing at the Udyr top.
Ooh, do see Alun go in, but the stun does not land coming out from now there are 2 here on the Taric. Does get eaten up by the bubble, but doesn't lose too much HP outside of that.
Absolutely. So the thing was that
Oh,
okay,
Ian
we're seeing.
again. Flash root coming out from his spicy. He knocks away the Lucian outside of the stun range, but playing around the bushes is spicy, is able to pick up the kill onto a loon, and Defiant Ren is able to stay alive. Meanwhile, Jack in the mid lane trading inside of the minion wave against Spires here, giving up a Dark Harvest Brock, but staying even in terms of HP.
That could have been a catastrophe for them because the Lucian was pushed out of the Taric stun, and
Hmm.
that could have been a really bad time for them. Thank God the Lucian greeted really hard for that kill, and that was the end for them. We also saw that cheeky emote from. Okay, we're seeing a small engage in the top lane.
Hmm.
Okay, no, nothing too serious. This is going to happen all the time with Udyr. So
Yeah.
that's why we're not highlighted it as it should. But that cheeky emote from Jack against Spires was kind of funny. I have to agree on that.
True, true. We do see that. Oh, Didi does go in. He is level 6. He does land the stun, but Didi just dashing a bit too far into the tower range and takes 2 tower shots into his grave here. And with that, we should see the Udyr picking up quite a bit of a gold lead over him in this lane.
And it's looking like a freeze, which is not really that good for the Urgot. Urgot is one of those champions that really wants those either consistent income from starters, or he also wants those early kills. And it appears that he's not going to be getting any. And that Rise, Jack being the
Yeah.
absolute zoning monster.
Oh, speaking of zoning, Nami Bubble comes out, but it does miss. Behind them is the Sejuani. Nice Condemned coming out for him to fire at Ren, keeping the Sejuani away from her. And now more autos are coming out. It does able to apply the Silver Bolts at least once, but the bot lane of the side of the Silent Assassin do lose out most of their HP running away from that. Flash forward coming out. He is able to land the slow. Jack did, in fact, pop both of his sums, but they aren't able to get the root onto Spires, which would most certainly certify his death at that tower.
Dude, Iceborn troll picked.
Oh boy.
I, I will tell you why I think that after this
Okay.
gank in the top lane.
Yeah, after these fights that are happening up here, we do see that the Udyr is just running down the Urgot. In the meanwhile, is Spicy, is the jungler coming up here, does land the root, and that's going to be another kill going over to him. And pretty much the top side of Silent Assassins are way ahead right now.
Okay, so the reason why they're going for the Drake, the first Drake is the Wind Drake, but here's the thing.
Hmm.
What is, in your opinion, the most one of the most important aspects of Sejuani during a gank?
Her passive, right?
Yeah,
Yep. And
and how do you stack that passive?
you stack it by auto attacking it and having melees to apply it with you.
Okay, how many melees does Iceborn Ya have?
I mean, if we're talking about my Lucian, I'm in melee about half the time, but other than that, I'm pretty sure it's a 0.
Mm,
Maybe, maybe.
we're not counting the Sejuani on this equation, so yeah, they have a very huge disadvantage. Of course, the moment where I'm saying that we see the Lucian destroying half the health bar of the
Ooh,
Vayne.
yeah, Vayne getting chunked out, putting her just in range for Spires to land that ultimate, get that Dark Harvest, and kind of go to town. I mean, even though he did die once, he is even with the rise in this lane. 2 kills up, should be in an okay spot, all things considered.
Fun story. It was season 4. Okay,
Okay, hit me with it.
I was playing top lane against. But we're seeing a fight in the
Yeah, I
in
was gonna say. In the
yeah.
meanwhile, Jack just always taking a fight whenever he has that phase rush up, but meanwhile it's down. As a gank seems to be happening in the mid lane, Sejuani uses her ulti. The Glacial Prison does in fact miss Jack extremely low. One more hit will take him down. Smokia does land the stun, tries to
Oof.
get the kill over to Spires, but doesn't want to risk it and takes a kill for himself there. And that is a easy kill going over to the side of Iceborn Ya.
Basically, the whole tale boils down to Cardis can farm assists without leaving his lane. Straight up. Like it was once against the Cardis that was 006 at 15 minutes because he never left the lane. Super fun.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of lane, we do see top lane just a top tad bit of damage, tad bit of damage. We do see that Udyr is sitting on that Balmy Cinder and those plated steel caps, so even that tower is not doing much damage to him. Deity about a fourth of an HP sitting in the lane, nearly in lethal range, I would say.
Absolutely. So right now we need to talk about what possibilities does Iceborne have to bounce back. They're just
Hmm
200 gold behind, behind Silent Assassins. But Iceborne has to definitely get some major kills right now,
hmm
especially on the characters that have the
Yeah.
everything but dude.
Yeah, speaking of major kills, they're gonna be looking for one here, except it's gonna be the side of the Silent Assassins. But
Oh,
but Spires is able to pick up the shutdown on the It's Spicy here on the Maokai. And if I'm that Karthus, I'm probably taking that trade every day of the week.
we saw Spires having a really good performance on game one as Anivia. So in my
Oh, in the top
ooh,
lane, we do see that the Glacial Person does miss a bit of miscommunication there as the flip does land, but the Urgot ultimate is going to be more than enough to secure the fate of that Udyr. And right now, with those shutdowns in hand, even though that they're down in kills, Iceborn Ya are in fact up in gold.
right there into the blender. Uh, Dude, I freaking like that. That's one of those ultimates that every single time you have an on the enemy team, you scream BS from the top of your lungs. But when you have it on your team, damn, is it satisfying.
Definitely one of the more satisfying ultimates to land in the game, without a doubt. We do see that the Rift Herald did get taken to about half of HPs as Maokai was trying to leash it out, trying to get some damage onto it, but we do see in the mid lane Jack popping that ghost preemptively, doesn't want to get hit by Sejuani or that Karthus by any means, and he's just gonna keep it rock and try to deal as much damage as possible. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Lucian eating forward does have the Nami empowered bubbles onto him, and that
No,
chunks out the Bane,
again,
and another Karthus kill secured as
that's criminal. Like, no,
oh
no, 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 no.
man.
That's not fun at all.
I mean, hey, like maybe they had a bit of a scuff with the Sejuani pick compared to how it synergizes with their team, but Iceborn Ya definitely showing how, hey, we don't need Lucianami to do 100% of the damage. We just need them to do like 90% and then Karthus does all the rest.
It really reminds me of that meme of the Chinese looking anime thing that says hey, as long as it works.
It's, as
They're,
long as it's
they're
working.
we said something on the lines of Lucian being a really consistent ADC, but saying that there was going to be a lot of pressure from the Cardis pick. We
Hmm
said that, and right now, after watching 4 kills on the Karthus, 150 gold bounty, already sitting on a Leandris Torment, it's really insane. Of course, we're seeing the elevator fight
Yeah,
on the top lane.
yeah.
Not really much going forward. They're going to just keep bashing themselves with wet noodles until one of them loses all the life, which is more interesting in the mid lane because when mid fights go in, they go hard.
Yeah, I mean, they're just constantly going in back and forth. Dark Harvest does get procced over by Spires, and he keeps stacking them up bit by bit. Flash forward for the dash coming out from Deity, but he isn't able to land the stun. We are able to sidestep it out just fine, but he isn't able to go back in. Cole finished on Deity, who did buy that earlier in the game, and TPs are now available. At least unleashed teleports are available. Spire is getting Jack extremely low. Flash forward, unable to land the wall of pain, but in the meantime, in the bot lane, it does seem to be that the dragon was stolen by Maokai here, as the side of Iceborn Ya were trying to get it under their noses. The Terra Culti does come out, but doesn't save the Maokai. Meanwhile, Vayne free hitting on the backline, but gets instantly blown up by the Karthus and the Lucian as the rest of Iceborn Ya pull up into the bot side river, and that should be a 3-0 for them, but at the cost of the dragon.
Dude, that Karthus is giving me anxiety. 6-2, I can already feel the half health bars ultimates that he's going to be popping pretty soon.
I mean,
And
it's
with that
definitely
Soniat,
scary.
not looking really fine. But
Yeah, I
right
mean,
now we had a small fight there. They stole the Ocean Drake, but in turn for that, they gave a 5k lead towards Iceborn Yeah, and we already saw what they do with leads. They lengthen them.
yeah, I mean, the lead can only go up from here, it seems like, if we're looking at the last game. And with the Karthus being as ahead as he is, I don't see that there are that many people that are going to be able to stop him because most of the side of Silent Assassins isn't necessarily known for their burst.
Yeah, absolutely. If we would have seen Lethality Udyr Maxine Q, maybe you would have seen the burst, but that's not the normal case, you could say.
Indeed, it definitely isn't in their favor at the moment. They do have the Vayne and they do have the Tarek and the Rise. They had quite a bit of scaling on their team to work off of, but definitely have to keep an eye out with the damage coming out from this team. Speaking of damage, we do see that Alun does eat in, shakes out about half of Jack's health alongside of the assistance of the Nami, and meanwhile the slap fight up in the top lane continues, but it does seem as though that Deity may have the advantage here at the moment as he keeps getting passive procs off the entire time, as well as his ultimate staking onto him, but just not quite low enough to activate that.
Yeah,
Oh, and the
overall
meanwhile in
the
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 mid
ultimate
lane,
was necessary for
yeah,
the
in the
but
mid
now a
lane,
fight.
oh,
Ooh.
attempted cleanse coming out from Alune, but it doesn't help him out in the slightest as it's spicy on the Maokai. Does in fact follow him through, but they only get one out of the three potential kills that they could have gotten there.
It was a really really nice old flash. Like it did one. It wasn't a flash either. It was just ultimate into W. It definitely caught them off guard, and right now you're going to see this. They are go. I'm pretty sure that Spicy is going to keep doing that flank until they learn their lesson.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty hard, especially after the buffs and changes that Maokai got. It's a lot harder to play around him. And speaking of playing around him, stun coming out from the Udyr as well as the root plus knockback coming out from the Maokai, and the TP coming in from Spires there can only help out so much as Urgot falls before he can even finish it.
Absolutely. So in this very moment, we need to start
Mhm.
talking about
Oh, a
about
bit of a fight. They try to go in. Nami Bubble does land on a two after the Nami Wave knocks both of them up. The Colin gets thrown out, not stunned up just yet. Now
ooh,
there are two extremely low. And speaking of extremely low, the Karthus ulti does
yay!
come in on cue, breaks up a Dark Harvest stack, and secures a third kill coming off of his Requiem. It is just insane damage coming out from this Karthus.
I'm so sorry, but it makes me so happy the fact that this is going on.
Oh, Glacial Prison coming out from that Sedge, and that's more than enough to take out the Vayne. Sejuani, though, rooted up under the tower thanks to the Maokai ultimate. She might be just low enough to fall, and it does, in fact, give a shutdown over to the way of Is Spicy here. But considering at what point in the game we are right now, maybe not the best person to have all that gold.
Yeah, yeah, really, really, really questionable. But right now, dude, Spires is in such a good position right now. Hopefully he went back and got the Sonya's Hourglass. He is looking into fight, doing more and more damage, which is really, really, really cool. I love these player. Spires is doing a fantastic job. Even though Jax is doing fantastically, okay, I still really prefer how the teamwork on Iceborn, yeah, like that shit has to be on comms. Like they're saying, dude, okay, so I'm going to leave in a 1 HP. You just need to ult. Sure, bro, and that's what's going on. 7 times. That's what has been happening.
Yeah, pretty much. There's been a bunch of times where Spires has just been, all right, I've got my ultimate up. Like you said, if someone just gets low enough, call it out and it's going to happen. And speaking of stuff happening, the dragon fight is ensuing. We do see the Tarek ulti come out and it does get dropped, but Spires is able to take out Tarek all the while. Spires eventually falls. Shutdown goes over to Udyr, and they're forced to kite away. The calling drops, and Is Spicy does fall to a loon here. Quite a bit of damage coming out from the Karthus as his passive finally ends, but this is going to be a triple kill coming out from Alun on this Lucian as Rise is forced to run away with a ghost popped and everything. That is a 4 for 1 for the side of Iceborn Ya here.
the spacing, the kiting, the freaking priority targeting. That was an absolute insanity of a match, of a play, of a team fight, of a life. They did beautiful, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting spot to take the fight, but they actively had to keep pushing further and further into the river because the last thing he wanted to do was fight on top of Spires during his passive there. And all that time passing really benefited the side of Iceborn Ya there. I mean, the longer the fight went, the more damage Lucian was able to pump out, and even though that their main damage dealer was dead, they still kind of had him around. And speaking of
Absolutely.
damage, Nate GG forced a flash out of there. He nearly got popped by Jack trying to get the flank onto him. Yeesh.
Absolutely. Uh, so let's go back. Oh no,
Oh.
bad moment to be catched down. Okay, you're out of there. So what do you think is going to be the next item for? No, he's going to go for the how was it called, the Horizon Focus, right?
Uh-huh. I was like, what did you mention about Horizon Focus?
It's the next item that is going to be built for Karthus.
Ah, maybe. I
He
mean,
already has
you
the Hextech amplificator. I think it's called the
oh, the alternator. Yeah, I mean, it could be.
alternator.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be Shadow Flame. There's definitely some angles. I'd be interested in seeing how he builds into it. Horizon Focus wouldn't be bad. I don't see it built too often. Definitely be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
What other item do you think he could build for the alternator? Because
Man.
I only know that it's the rocket belt,
Mm-hmm.
the uh, oh, I think Everflame was from the
The
alternator too.
Yeah, I think Shadow Flame maybe.
Shadow Flame, that.
Yeah.
A Night Harvester. Thanks, awesome production.
Not the Night Harvester might be Night Harvester is a possibility, but obviously with the Leandries,
It's not.
I'd probably probably not, but we'll see.
I
We'll
think
see
the
if
only
he
two
has
options that he has opened.
he just goes sicko mode and decides to sell his Leandries, which would be kind of crazy considering how many tanks they have on the team. But
Oh,
definitely going
it
to
would
be
be a
interesting
death
to see.
wish. It would totally be a death wish if he does that.
Indeed, and we'll see.
I hate how fast he moves. Like he's just floating there
It
menacingly.
menacingly took the words right out of my mouth. But yeah, right now the side of Iceborn Ya are in fact hovering around the river, getting pretty much vision control wherever they want. In the meanwhile, they do have someone matching Udyr in the bot lane. They do send DD down there. They don't want to give up more gold than they necessarily have to, considering they do have this about 6k gold lead that's in their favor. With the Dragon coming up in about a minute and a half and the Baron already available. But in the meantime, Jack does in fact pop his phase rush and he's trying to get towards the Karthus, but nobody else is able to follow up as Tarek gets blown up as the rest of Iceborn Ya follow up with them and protect their most fed member on their team. And they might look to force onto that Baron right now as Deity's slowly but surely taking the 1v1 to Udyr down in the bot lane.
Hmm.
Oh,
The, the,
meanwhile, Maokai
the
ulti.
no, but he has absolutely no support. If he steals it, it's going to be really, really pog. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, we do see his Spicy slowly making his way over there. He does land the root onto Nate GG, but Nate GG able to single-handedly push the rest of the side of Silent Assassins away. Jack gets caught out as the rest of the team turns after securing the Baron, and the TP coming up from Udyr is all for naught as he gets there a bit too late. Is Spicy goes back in one more time, but this time he gets punished heavily for it as Deity secures the kill onto him. Karthus uses his ulti, chunks out a lot of the members, and now it seems as though that Smokey over here is a bit far caught out as well. He does get the charge over the wall, keeps himself keeps himself alive, but Deity once again, it seems as though this team is making quite a number of plays on the wrong side of the wall. Multi-man stun coming out from the Tarek. Vayne able to free hit, but the Nami ulti does in fact keep all of them alive.
what the hell happened everywhere? Okay, so
That was
we need to break it into parts. So Nami ulted 2 times, Rice ulted. The moment that he got near the Baron on almost melee range, like you said, there's a set range that they have control over. That moment he overstepped. He was insta ulted by Sejuani and slammed to the ground by Lucian and his 2 pistols. It was absolute madness during the whole change there, and then it was a back and forth of them diving and not diving and diving again and going out and diving. But there's something really cool that they did that I really like and I want to bring attention to.
oh.
But
Yeah,
first, let's
before
the
you bring
Drake.
attention to
Okay.
that, yeah, the dragon does get secured over by the side of Iceborn Ya over here,
No
and
time, no time. We're seeing a fight in the mid lane.
yeah, no time as well either. I mean, Deity does secure the kill over in the mid lane, kicking out that Udyr, and the rest of Silent Assassins are forced to run away in fear at this point as they're getting run out of their own jungle at the moment.
Absolutely. So, something to bring attention to the communication that these guys have over at Iceborn. Yeah. These dudes are believe so much into their plays, into their positioning, and everything. They're playing beautifully.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
now another fight happening in the mid lane as they're trying to contest the mid push, but Alun has way too much damage alongside of the rest of his team as Jack does in fact fall. So does the first tower in the mid lane and the inhibitor as well. And now it seems as though that the team does fall back. They are going towards the top side of Silent Assassin's jungle here, and they're gonna pretty much clean up the entire thing.
Dude, if just one if you just get hit by one specific Karthus Q, you're coming out of there limping.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
it's
dude, it hurts so much. So bad.
Yeah, I mean, hey, shout out, called the Shadow Flame purchase coming out from Spires over here. Does in fact have the 3 items, and right now, like, I have to ask, like, if you're the side of the Silent Assassins over here, right? What's that? What do you have to do? What's going through your mind? That it's like, what's the game plan we have to cling on to if we want to win this game? Because it is a best of 3. They're already down a game. It's do or die for them right now.
You need to pressure. Okay, so you need to pressure side lanes because Udyr is a really good uh, sandbag, you could say. So
Mm-hmm.
taking objectives and stuff like that is something that you really need to capitalize on. And secondly, you need to force fights where the Maokai, Vayne, and Rice are present.
Yeah, speaking of forcing fights, they aren't taking the fight where you said they were, but we do see that they're attempting to fight Deity up here in the top lane, and he's just circling around the 2 tanks. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, Spires is able to pick up the kill on the Jack, as the rest of the team is more than willing to take the fight in a 4v1 scenario, and all the while, Deity just more than happy of taking that 2v1 and coming out on top of both of them. So 3-0 across the map for the side of Iceborn Ya, and they're seeming to push down into the mid lane. TP coming up from Deity. They've got a Baron, I mean, they've got a super minion piled up here, ready to tank some tower damage, and they might look to end the game here. Terraculty comes out. They are able to block a decent bit of damage. Vayne is able to stay alive for just a moment, I should say, but she soon falls right after. So does the Taric. So does the last Nexus tower, and soon to be the Nexus itself. And that's going to be a 2-0 victory for the side of Iceborn Ya.
The winner of this series, Iceborn, yeah. Okay, so really quick, finishing thoughts because I think we already said everything that we had to say during most of the match. But something that is really important, the underdog, the one that was losing at one point was 1-4 in the
Mm-hmm.
match, was Urgot. Deity actually was able to pull back and and ended up crowning the game with the most amount of CS at 278 minions. This guy
Yeah.
was rolling in dough during that last fight when he was against Maokai and
And Udyr.
and Udyr. He was He was plumping. Hear me out. He had I forgot the name of this thing. The shoes, the Mercury threats.
Yeah.
He had Mercury threats, Black Cleaver, Titanic Hydra, and Sunfire Aegis. He was a machine of doing damage over time by just standing there.
100%. I mean, It definitely helped. I mean, having the Urgot there, it just made it super difficult for the side of the Silent Assassins to just walk in, where it seemed as though their only answer to much of anything in that game was the Vayne,
Yeah,
right?
but there was
'Cause
absolutely no like that fight in the bot lane didn't have sense because there was nothing to gain at that. You already got the tower. What you were going to get from there? Because you didn't know where all the three of them were. And even if you won, there was a chance for you that you were not going to even get the tier two tower of bottom lane.
Mhm.
So overall, there was like it was a really really bad fight, and they definitely went punished because of that.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a pretty heavy punish throughout the game because, as you mentioned, Iceborn Ya was on the back foot just at the very start of this game. But it does seem clear to me after the games, at least these two games, that Iceborn Ya is definitely ahead, at least in the communication department, or being on the same page with the rest of the team as to what exactly they want to do in each game and how to execute it. The amount of times we saw in that game where somebody lived with maybe 300 HP or
Mm-hmm.
200 HP, and instantly a Karthus ulti was soon to follow just to get Spires fed. That just shows to me that these guys know what they want to do. They know how to close out games or even come back from behind. Like, they are in a pretty solid place.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's just do these one more time.
Hmm.
Let's do this one more time. So, okay. So, number 1. This was the Titan Esports Gladiator League week 4
Hmm.
where we had a lot of where we had a lot of really interested fights, a lot of really cool engages, disengages, fights, team fights, picks. All of that was present in today's day. This was my friend Swift. That
Hmm.
was amazing casting on the play by play. We had our amazing production friend, which is looking, which he doesn't know Spanish, so you can write stuff in the chat in Spanish, and he will not be able to ban you because he doesn't know what it means. And finally, thank to you, everyone, and everyone on the team of Titan Esports to allowing us to give us this amazing opportunity of casting live with you guys. Finishing thoughts, Swift.
Definitely some interesting games. Thanks for having me. Let's hope that Silent Assassins don't end this season winless. But other than that, best of luck to Iceborn Ya. And yeah, thanks for having me here.
Also, Titan Esports does not condone you cursing in Spanish in the chat. I'm just going to throw that out there. Don't listen to
Uh, uh,
Stefu.
Important. But I said
I,
that's
I
right. I
turned
said
on my
anything.
mic to say that.
I said anything. That's my bad. That was our amazing producer
Either way.
looking. He allowed us everything. So please be civil in Spanish. Civil. Okay. Awesome. See you guys then.